you just see the feed that you normally do.
I don't see the desktop.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. I don't. All I see is me and a picture of you in the corner. I'm still in Skype mode.
It says I'm sharing. You still don't? Okay, hold on. Hold on, stand by.
I mean, I can see myself, and I'm fairly attractive.
Fairly.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Now I can
Now
see
you can
me.
see. Hey, Cammy's here.
Yeah.
See, we're not alone. I was worried. I was worried we'd
Cammy!
be alone, but Cammy's here, so we're not alone.
Yay!
Cammy, there's nothing wrong with people
okay.
liking the episode. In fact, I would encourage everyone to like and subscribe. All episodes.
There we go. Okay, we are live. I can see and hear myself.
Okay.
Talking about how attractive
And how live we are, like we normally start off.
And
We'll
how
see.
live
We've
we
got
are.
about 4 or 5 more minutes of talking about if we're live or not, and if our audio levels are good.
Right. And and also, Paul. Hello. How are you today?
Hello. How are you today? Yeah. No guests. No guests. This is how we started. Spencer didn't know what to do without a guest. I was like, man, come on. We never planned to have guests. So
Right. And we generally just kind of yammer anyway. So actually, I do appreciate the no guest times with you sometimes.
that's because you're
Like,
desperate
I
for
do
my
appreciate-
affection.
I am desperate for your affection,
But I can never give it to
I,
you. That is the endless tragedy that we endure.
So it's a beautiful day in
It
Portland.
is.
It is, and there are no roving, marauding bands of anti-fascists or federal officers in my neighborhood currently.
Yeah, we are safe. We are safe.
Yes, we are. We are safe.
Um,
and
what you're about
Yes?
to
well,
send
I was
us
going
a
to say,
zinger.
Portland is safe, you guys. If you're not, if you're tuning in from somewhere other than Portland, we're okay here.
Yep.
Everything's
Good.
fine. Shit goes down sometimes in the evenings around specific little tiny spots, and other than that, Portland is freaking wonderful and beautiful. We're in the middle of a freaking global pandemic, but it's not what some news outlets are saying it is. So there you go.
There you go.
So I just had to say that.
Had to be
Yep.
said. We do have
Had to
some
be
news
said.
stuff. You can just get into some news, and we've been encouraging people in the Discord, which, by the way, chat.xrtalk.net, and on Twitter to bring us some questions. We're going to be watching the chat a little closer today and talking to the chat. But in the meantime, we got some news stuff we could talk about. I think the biggest news, I'm going to switch over. The biggest news that kind of popped up on Discord and Twitter in my little filter bubble. Mozilla is restructuring. They laid off 250, 300 people. And the CEO press release or announcement talked a lot about restructuring. They're trying to figure out how to build products. And unfortunately, pretty much the whole WebXR team is gone and or is going to be gone.
With the exception of hubs, right?
Right. So that was so the first question was, what does this mean for WebXR? And then the second question was, what about hubs? That seemed to be the consistent. That's what happened in our Discord, but I also saw it in Twitter as well.
Out in the wild. Right?
Yeah. So we got to, it was confirmed that hubs will continue, but Hubs has like a VR mode, but honestly, I've used Hubs more on the desktop than anything. But Hubs is very cross-platform, right? It's like a virtual meeting space or a virtual space type of thing. It's not necessarily primarily. I think a lot of us associated it with a VR type of thing, but
because it had that ability
and did it pretty well.
It was web, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. The questions that we talked about. Were around WebXR. I mean, that's the thing. So first there was WebVR, which was kind of this semi-standard API for being able to render in stereo for headsets. And I think early days of just an agreed upon API for this stuff. And
Right.
once the AR headsets started coming online, and probably around the time the Magic Leap and definitely when the HoloLens started getting more popular, they started to standardize around WebXR, and WebXR is much more of a standard, like it's being driven. So I think there's some. I don't know if you call them competing standards, but there's a couple standards. There's OpenXR, right, which is like what the Kronos group is doing, which is kind of like OpenGL. Like if OpenGL was the open graphics library and the kind of standardized graphics API, they're kind of
Right.
doing that for these programming APIs that let you access input and displays and things like that. And then there's the web stuff, which I think is mostly driven by W3C. And WebXR was kind of an attempt to kind of standardize the browser version of that. And
Right.
Mozilla was kind of like the one big player with a decent amount of resources really pushing for the really open standard, where you have especially for AR, which is where WebXR really comes in, is you're kind of beholden to the mobile browsers. And so
So, like, we've done this. We did this with Flash, right? Like Flash gave way to JavaScript, which gave way to 3JS and other things like that. But like we've done this in the past where we've gone from more app based, which I would call Flash app based because it required that plugin to run it. And I can tell you that, like, in bidding projects, like, Paul and I are bidding a project right now for a relatively large entity, and it would be amazing if I could do what I'm doing on the eTribe website with
nice plug.
the entire project.
Nice plug.
Huh?
Nice plug.
Yeah.
We might
eTribe.com.
we might
Yeah,
hey, look, I've already got it queued up. We might as well go over here.
let's go there. Okay, so this is the what Paul and I have been kind of operating underneath is either Paul's corporation or mine. And mine used to be and still is, but will be slowly going away as Lindsay Digital, and now it's going to be eTribe because my good buddy Seth handed me back this eTribe.com that I think we got it in like 1992 or 3 or something like that, and so Paul set me up with this freaking cool setup where I can just go into I can go into my 3D package of choice, can export a GLB, and immediately start working on this thing. And that's a 360 HDR from a bike ride that I took this weekend up at.
Can I see you in it?
Up in
If
the
I
hill.
zoom in, are you in there somewhere?
If you look down the trail, there's a tree with a dark blob next to it. I blurted out.
Oh, that's you right here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right down there. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
you probably
me.
can't see
Yeah.
my cursor.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so we're just using Google's model viewer for this. If you go to modelviewer.dev, it's this really easy way to embed 3D models.
Super easy.
Yeah, and they give you all kinds of controls. They handle, if you give it a USDZ and a GLB, they handle all the quick look stuff. So like if we wanted to pop this model out into AR, it would just automatically quick look in Android or iOS. Super handy.
With the animation too.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Assuming
cool.
assuming you can export a USDZ that is the same as the GLB.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
it's kind of cool. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a model viewer, but they've added like camera controls, environmental controls, animation controls, like for what probably most people should be doing with embedding 3D in a website. It's pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, I used it with our little experimental XR Talk website, xrtalk.net, which I only load it for the mobile browsers and
Mm-hmm.
desktop. Yeah, only the mobile browsers, because for desktop, I actually hop into Babylon to be able to render, so we can do VR stuff. So I mean, it's kind of this is all related to the news thing we are talking about. Like, if you were like, "Hey, Paul, I want a 3D website. I want to show this cool animation of content. I want to be able to pop it out into AR, but I'd also like someone to be able to jump into the environment in VR." And all just kind of works for all mobile, desktop, in
Right.
headset browsers. These are all reasonable
Right.
requests.
Everyone wants that, but it doesn't make any financial sense for someone to provide all of that.
Well, it's such a hodgepodge of, it's like a quilt of tech you've got to put together to get to do it. And
Which you are intimately familiar with.
yeah,
Right?
I'm a plumber these days. But yeah, so
No, you make grand tapestries.
there we go.
You make grand tapestries of code.
For sewage to flow through. The
Hey, that's my content.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, I mean, but the WebXR thing kind of is related to this, because ideally you just say, I mean, really ideally, you'd say, here's my GLB. I don't even care what a USDZ is. Here's my GLB. Here's my environment. Where it makes sense, render this either immersively or in AR or in desktop. Just do it.
Right.
Like, just work
Right.
the way I want it to work, and work in all browsers on all devices. And WebXR is kind of like and so Mozilla was really pushing. They were kind of the biggest independent entity that was really pushing for that. So it's kind of a setback. You know, one thing we talked briefly about in the Discord is, I don't think a lot of people there's probably some startups we don't know about that were planning to deploy on top of, and they probably still are, deploy on top of WebXR. But I don't think there's a lot of production, like, popular things out there that are really hurt by Mozilla killing their XR team. But I think it was just the effort. The effort was there, and it makes it,
Right.
it makes, I mean, realistically, as people building production things, you've got to take pause and say, is this going to be something we should count on happening? So,
Right.
yeah, kind of a bummer. And I know a lot of, I mean, Mozilla has quite a presence in Portland, actually. We have an office here, and we had a lot of, I don't know how many people locally were affected, but I should probably check
And
in.
the office is not under siege, by the way. Just to want to bring that up again.
Yeah. I mean, Cammy, the only thing I still really miss is that Spencer is the dark blob.
I'm a dark blob? What? Oh, well, then I'm a dark blob in my background, in my
You're kind of
HDR.
kind of a dark blob in my life as well.
Why are you mean? That's the question.
I don't know.
Okay, I have a question.
I was an
for
only
the
child.
chat.
I'm an
Why
only
is Paul
child.
mean?
I'm an only child. That's my excuse. Yeah. So see, we're watching the chat. We're talking to the chat. I don't know. I got a couple other newsy things. I know you're a big fan of the Windows mixed reality headsets.
Well, it's the only one that I had before I got the Quest.
Yeah. I mean, they're good. They were they were a little lame at the time when your choice was like Vive, full 6 DOF, and they kind of felt like the light versions of, but they work on a wider range spec of stuff.
I mean,
right?
my Samsung, I've got what is it? It's not a Galaxy. It's a what version do I have?
Odyssey.
You recall? It's the Odyssey, right? So I've got the Odyssey, and it's got like a 2K display. It's a nice, respectable pixel density, and it's nice and fast. It's got inside-out tracking, and it works really well.
Well,
for most,
and you've had it for about 3 years now, 2 years.
In fact, about 3 years. My first VR headset was
this might be a good upgrade. Yeah. It's so it's not out yet. But what's interesting about it is it's a 4K display, and it's $600. And apparently
it's 4K per eye.
I doubt it, but
well, it's 4K, like
split.
Basically stereo 4K.
I'm guessing.
Right. Yeah.
But it does inside out tracking, so no external sensors. And they're going to do this crazy big kickoff event next week, where it's like a VR developer event. So that's why, I mean, sure, there's a new headset coming out, and that's part of the headlines. But I kind of wanted to share
Right.
like this event because they're talking about WebXR, OpenXR, the two things we just talked about. They're talking about prototyping with Maquette and all these different things, and there's Q&A sessions. So there's a little thing for you. I don't know if I posted it in the
So
Discord,
here's
but
here's a thought that I had. I saw a demo the other day, and I think it came off of our chat, off of is it talk.xr.net? Is that what it
chat.
is? Or is it chat.xr.net? Like and subscribe. And there was a guy who had taken an HDR and then projected a spherical texture mapping coordinate onto it was inside of a parking garage with cars and stuff in it. And he took this piece and he projected it onto a cube and then started building the elements of the image into the model and then moving them so that they matched correctly. And if you only moved your head, it's kind of like it's a little bit like the view from the totally blanking.
I'm trying to find it.
Yeah. Basically, you can move your head probably 3, 4, 5 feet each direction, and you still get that feeling that it's right. As if you move out of it a little bit, you start seeing texture stretching and weirdness.
Is this the Google thing with the flame? Were you doing the flamethrower thing?
No. That's true. Volumetric video. That's what do you call that? It's what Steve Cooper was involved
Lytro.
in. Lytro, right?
Oh, is that did that come from the Lytro acquisition? I didn't even think of that. Google bought Lytro, right?
Probably. Oh well, shit. Okay, that's probably where that came from.
I think I'm pretty sure.
This was kind of like a poor man's technique of taking an HDR and then spherically mapping your geometry with that HDR, and then unhinging the UVs from all the vertices so that you can move the stuff around inside the texture space. And they did a pretty damn good job of.
I was trying to find it so you didn't have to wave your hands so much.
Yeah,
but
it's very cool. So
I was thinking of the deep view video thing, right? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, this is just like straight up just spherical environment mapped onto geometry, and it works in a limited space. My girlfriend Shawneen is constantly every morning in Supernatural, and Supernatural does kind of what I wanted to do when I was back in Hungary, which is they do photogrammetry of the landscape. They do a 360 of the landscape from the person's POV, and then and because of the position where you are in that, like you're in your living room, you've only got a certain amount of space you can move back and forth on. It all works. It all works perfectly because you don't move that far, but you move far enough to really kind of sell the 3D of it. So there's no photogrammetry involved in this process. It's just building environment that matches the HDR. I'm fascinated. I want to play around.
Do it,
I actually
man.
went up to on
start a project.
No, I went up onto the closest volcano to you and I, which
St.
is
Helens, right?
Mount Tabor.
Oh,
did you know that Mount Tabor is a volcano?
I'm in the south, so I say Tabor.
And, Tabor. Sorry. I'm new to town, so is it Tabor?
I think
or
your
Tabor?
California's showing, my friend.
No, no,
I've
no,
only heard
no,
Tabor.
no. It might Tabor. Okay, Mount Tabor. Mount Tabor. I
No,
went
I
up
didn't say
on
to.
Mount
I didn't say
Tabor.
you needed to sound like a huckleberry.
So anyway, I went up onto Mount Tabor and I and captured a bunch of 360s, and I want to like try this thing and try to figure out how I can make these 360s turn into like kinda sixed off environments by playing with geometry and stuff.
Why
So
don't you
anyway.
inspire our chat and our community and actually do something instead of talking about it?
Excuse me. What were you were just looking
Anyway,
at the
next
website?
next news
I just
story.
did some
Next
stuff.
news story.
Why are you
Next
mean?
news story.
Okay, next thing.
Um,
Yeah,
more headset stuff. So nReal. I still haven't seen nReal, but you have, and you were not
I
impressed.
have. No, I was impressed.
You
No,
were?
I was highly
Oh, I
impressed.
thought you were
Um,
underwhelmed.
no. That I think it was Josh. Josh was underwhelmed, but Josh is underwhelmed by a lot of technology because Josh has a brain the size of this house. Uh, um,
Which is weird because his head
no,
is normal size.
he has a normal sized head, but there's like this highly
It's like a
compressed
sponge. It's like
brain
a
inside there. Yeah, or yeah, like a neutron star or something. I don't know. But no, I really liked nReal. The stuff that I saw when I went to it was at AWE. Fuck, now 2 years ago. Uh, it was brighter than Magic Leap. It was wider than Magic Leap. It did not have environmental geometry at that time. It was only planar, but it was really fast, and it ran on a freaking Android if you wanted it to. Like they
well,
had their whole like Magic Leap,
the puck.
light engine or whatever, the puck, but you could also just run it on your fast Android box.
Well, so the and that's the news really. Like so the nReal, like they had dev kits shipping where the compute puck came with it. And what's interesting, they've always been really upfront about this will be able to plug into other Android phones, which
Mhm.
I mean, it's going to require some. It's not going to work on your, Cricket wireless LG Android flip phone thing.
No,
So
no. It's gonna work on your high end.
your 1,500 or your well, maybe not $1,500,
which makes so much sense, and they're kind of like chipping away at what we all know Apple is going to do, which is they're going to introduce the iPhone, the next Rev iPhone, and it's going to have a special connection to the glass or whatever they're going to.
I think I don't know. I don't want to speculate on the Apple stuff. I don't think Apple's going to go in this direction anytime soon. I think this is definitely nReal's more on the side of, hey, this is a Magic Leapy type of thing that you can plug into your phone that you can also just use your phone as a phone. And
right.
I don't
and you
Apple
can get it for what's the price? It's like $800.
so it's gonna be around $600. You've got to have but that includes the phone. So it's only going to be a Korean release. It's the Galaxy Note 20. Oh wait. Okay, sorry, I didn't fully read this. So it'll actually run on two different phones right now. It'll come with two different phones. You can either get the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 or the LG Velvet. These names kill me. With a 5G data plan. But yeah, I mean, you're basically going to be $1,000 into it. But if you're already an Android phone user and you always like to have really nice phones, like this is kind of an incremental cost to you.
Well, also, if you're already a developer, you can develop on Android. I mean, that's like it's or is it?
You're probably
is there
still
a
going to
whole
use
bunch of-
Unity. is my guess.
Right. You're okay.
But I mean, it's consumer accessible. But once again, we go back to this age old conversation we continue to have, which is like, It's not going to be in any type of scale. I would not build a company around building nReal applications today unless nReal or the handset company was paying me to do so, because there's just not enough market there to monetize. Like it's not, but it is something that is out there and available. It's very capable. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles that say a magically. I mean, there's not going to be eye tracking and 6 DoF input or anything like that. But wide field of view, stereo display, 6 DoF head movement. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it's adopted, and what the US and what it might mean for the US release. But are you texting?
I'm sorry.
people?
I had to drop down our last our last guest just texted me
Filmbot.
forgetting that 4 o'clock on Wednesdays was when he showed up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody else in the chat has seen the nReal, but I mean, when you were saying that it compared favorably compared to the Magic Leap, you mean compared to the ML1? Because my impression was that it's very similar to what we called WD3, which was our internal development hardware for a long time at Magic Leap before, which had totally different optics. Would you say it's on par with WD3?
It didn't have multiple depth planes, and so and that's the place where, like, I just fired up my ML1 that I finally got after 2 years from Magic Leap, and I just fired it up the other day and started, downloading things and starting to play around with the environment, and that's still a really banner.
That's what I've been saying. When you look at stuff when you look at stuff up close, that's when I get the same little wow feeling I got when we first started working with them. Now, on the whole, experience, like, I don't know about yours, but mine, you can definitely see when the focal plane pops from near to far. Like there's
you can see
there's a color shift and all
the rainbow.
Yeah.
There's rainbow in the thing, and the FOV is not great.
But there are some sweet spots though. Like you look at stuff up close,
there really are,
and like it's kind of framed within the field of view. You kind of get that. I still get that. It reminds me of. I almost wish. Maybe I guess I could do. Well, no, I don't have access to the assets, but like I almost wish we could. The original demos we show internally. I wish we could see those on this hardware, like the Probot demo in particular, like the little flying guy.
Yeah. Or the finger demo.
Yeah. Just want to see it, but that won't happen.
Oh shit, Jim, just because you hadn't changed the Skype yet from Filmbot.
You called too early.
I called too early.
Yes.
Right. So
I removed him.
So I called Paul up this morning or this afternoon, right? Right before we were going to go on board, and because I posted this great developer video of this guy who had like he was walking around his apartment with like 4 phones attached to him, looking at him from different places, and I was like, oh, because I walk around all the time, then I should probably build my own like face cam thing.
Switch
right?
over to this too.
And yeah, that guy. And he's got a tripod hanging out of his pocket, and so I wanted to recreate that experience. So I use these RAM mounts. By the way, RAM mount is the best way to put something onto a motorcycle handlebar or in your car.
Yeah, they have like suction cup mounts and clamps.
The RAM mounts are incredible. However, RAM mounts for things like this probably weighs 7 pounds. And so I started I started out with this thing on my thing. And first off, it puts my face right about there.
Are you talking on your phone right now? Are you?
Huh? Yeah.
Can you just clip your phone in there just so we can see it and just like?
Yeah. You want me to do that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Here, why don't you start talking
I mean, we don't have much of an agenda today, folks. This is the type of variety you get.
We're doing it, man. We're doing it.
The bright side is the likelihood of this being a 2.5 hour show. Oh my God. I didn't realize you had to spin the phone.
Well, I have to unscrew it. Come on, man. You're with me in the garage.
It's no different than when you get up and move around. It's
like Adam Savage, only not as good.
Yeah.
Well, we should have Adam Savage on here.
Well, he's your buddy, so.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Spencer got to go into Adam Savage's workshop and hang out with him and tinker with his creations, and I'm insanely jealous. It was
amazing. Okay, hold on. All right. No, see, it's too close.
No, it's good. Okay, it's good.
There we go. Okay, so now I can walk around this on.
Can you see the screen? Okay.
Did you just
walk in the screen? Okay.
Oh shit! Then it falls apart.
Oh no! Then the orientation changes. I'm glad we have the round. Mask because it just kind of fits your round face.
Okay. All right. So now you're gonna have to go through the whole Vomitron again.
Oh boy!
Hold on 1 second.
Sorry, I don't have a screen yet to. Block Spencer out.
You can't blank me out.
Yeah, not yet. Actually,
yeah, you should totally look into that. That's
you're gone. You're gone. And now you're back. Now you're gone.
Oh shit! Well, I've only got one ear now.
One ear.
Hang on.
You're Van Goghing it.
Okay.
I mean, I am a little jealous of your total mobile broadcasting setup. I've got to sit at this basement desk with all this monitors and wires and stuff.
That's not COVID, by the way.
No COVID.
No COVID.
We're almost done with a project. I guess we should plan to.
Can we talk about it?
I don't know. I mean,
Sam would be okay.
We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
I mean, I could bring. You want me to bring up the news article?
Yeah. Bring up the news. Let's talk about our stuff.
It's kind of funny. So we've been working on this for a while, and
about a year.
And the funny thing was, it's been in the works for some time, and then all of a sudden I wake up one morning, and it's in the news. Which is a little disconcerting considering the app still has not launched yet.
Right.
So there's a Portland. I don't want to say local because it makes it sound small, but there's a Portland-based brewery that makes really incredible beers. In fact, I'll tell a little backstory. When we first moved to Portland, my wife and I. They had a tiny little brewery in our neighborhood, and that's where they started. And they had just opened up right when we moved to town. And I'm a big beer person, and I was like, they're onto something really special here with their brews. They do really interesting stuff with flavors, and they kind of lean towards sours, and that's all this great stuff. I was trying to find that Forbes site is terrible. So they've really pioneered the way they release their products. They do drops, which is kind of like sneaker drops. And they've built up a reputation around these really popular brews that they do, and they do collaborations, and they've created an air of exclusivity and specialness. So a lot of breweries have gotten hit really hard lately because most of their identity is tied up in their location and their tap room. Like, there's tons and tons of great breweries, and then there's some that have these really incredible locations that you go to. And Great Notion, whether they did it on purpose or not, really cleverly tied to like intellectual property and their branding and their product.
Talks.
Yeah, and the way they release their product. So anyway, one of their people is very forward thinking and reached out to Spencer and I about how can we bring 3D and augmented reality to this app that they've really put a lot of time and money into. And they're doing things like you can earn points, you can play games. This is how they do their product releases, all this stuff. And they have these characters, and they have the characters are usually associated with a brew, and they've got these bios. It's just really they've created this story world almost. So anyway, there's a lot of big vision around it, but the initial effort has been, can we create engaging content moments using this really well-crafted content and technology, and in particular AR technology. There's some grander visions around location-based stuff. But so anyway, the app they got out really quickly. It's available now in both the Android and the iOS App Store. It's just Great Notion Brewing. And it's really well done. And we've been behind the scenes working on getting AR integrated into it. And so if you've heard it, we've talked about it before, and I rage tweet about it often. But like,
this is the thing that Paul is doing the quilt of magnificence around. Paul is pulling together languages from around the world and APIs and SDKs.
There are multiple teams involved and multiple technologies involved. Yeah. So we're basically, I mean, from the technical perspective, I think we'll probably do a deep dive on it soon, but it's a standard mobile app. It's using a Google framework called Flutter, which is kind of like React Native. And we've embedded Unity as a component within it. And then on top of that, which is already kind of a pain, but on top of that, we're deploying multiple experiences through that integration, including downloadable content. And so downloading an AR experience over the air to a mobile app is already a pain. And then to do it inside of an app that was never originally designed for it is also a pain. But we have powered through the pain, and we are in the home stretch. So,
and while Paul is pounding on the technical end of it, we have some incredible artists and audio people and organizational people who are hammering on the content side of it. So we've got 4 animated characters. We've got 2 games. We've got I guess 5 games if you want to count the little AR, make the character walk around in your living room or on the bar top. There's a whole bunch of really cool stuff that we're just about to, in the next probably 2 weeks. It's going to
ideally.
I mean,
the timing is a bit out of our hands, but the technical, the execution part, we're in the home stretch. Basically, we're going to release a few different experiences. Not all of them are AR. Some of them are just 3D game type things. But we're going to do this initial release, and then hopefully we'll keep releasing content through this framework we've invested. We've put a lot of time into making it where we can deploy new experiences, unlock characters. You can see on their apps. Like, right. I'm telling you, guys, like, just imagine you're in the middle. I'll give you this is my personal perspective on it. I kind of inherited this project in some ways. And some parts I still wasn't sure how we were going to do them because I'd not looked at them into them yet. And then I wake up and there's Forbes coverage of this app, and the headline says first AR app for beer or whatever. And then I go to the App Store, and I was like, first of all, I didn't even know the app had gotten released. And so I go to the App Store, and you can see right here.
Wait, what?
on the in the little. I need to get my cursor thing turned on. It right here, it says right up here, front and center, unlock characters, play games, and AR. None of that stuff's in there yet, but it works. It will be soon. Yeah. And we will certainly make noise about it. Todd, we will I'd be happy. I've actually Spencer made fun of me, but because it's such a complex process.
When did I make fun of you? I thought you were made making fun of
all
me.
the I'm
That's
I
how
am your
this works.
punching bag. You make fun of me all the time.
Whatever.
And I'm it's like frankly it's oppressive and abusive. So it's such a complex system to try to
Please follow us on Twitter and you can see what the truth is.
we try to I'm trying to work with these teams to explain to them how to these people don't know anything about AR or Unity and how this stuff works, and I'm trying to help get everyone aligned as I am I want to do. And so I created a document where I actually diagram how not all of this stuff works, but how some of it works. Because it is kind of interesting because we, as a production project, we've got a couple moving parts here. The primary ones are our little content team, which is not just Spencer and I. We have 5 other people helping with us at various levels. And so as we iterate on the content, we don't want to deploy through this mobile app that's built for selling beer. So we have our own little app build that we use to test and send to the client, let them review. And so we have to build that. But then we also have to build it in a special way to be integrated into the actual mobile apps. That's a separate path.
Right.
And then on top of that, we have to build the downloadable content modules because they're ideally downloaded over the wire. They're not bundled up in the app. And so you have that part of it and how to explain all that.
That's I think an important part is that we're using the DLC stuff, we're using the downloadable content stuff in order for it to be for the app to be downloadable from wireless. Because I think if you're over a gig or a gig and a half or something like that, then
we can't package up all this stuff into one app and then also submit to the App Store every time you want to update it. Right. And then the other piece of it is building the content modules and deploying those. I feel like there was another thing I was going to get, but anyway, we basically build out to multiple paths. So just that part of it. Oh, I know the other part of it is most of the UI is controlled by the Flutter side. So we have our own internal UI that we use to test stuff and to make stuff testable, but we have to turn all that off and then make it manipulable by the Flutter side. So there's a whole, so then I have to communicate with the mobile developers about here's the commands that you can send and here's the messages you'll get back. And so
and not only that, we're also requiring Paul and Cecilia to build it so that we can test it out in Unity. So there's the Unity side testing, there's the check it out client side testing, and then there's the downloadable content side. So Paul's got he's wrangling like all of these different pieces of it.
And when and then I rage tweet about it to vent, and and then I get tweets back that are like, just use Web AR, and I'm just like, okay, there's. Okay. So actually, Paul, I'm still a little confused on why someone hasn't built something for Web AR that allows you to search for planes, because maybe like
I just don't understand it enough.
Airliners or like environmental planes. Yeah.
Environmental planes.
Okay.
So right now, the only real commercial way to get something locked into your environment is through 60AI, right? Or through 8th Wall.
No. Wait, it depends on what you're talking about. Through web?
Okay. Web. Right. Through web.
As far as I know, 8th Wall is the only markerless AR solution that works in existing iOS and Android browsers with no special installs.
So why is that? Why is it a hard problem?
Yeah, they're using computer vision to localize and detect some sort of plane in the environment, and they do it very quickly. And they just say that's a flat plane because we know it's flat. We now know where the phone is relative to that, and that is going to be our anchoring. That's our localization.
Right.
The downside to that approach is they don't know how far away that plane is, and they don't know, so they don't have a sense of scale. So
But why don't they?
you have to know the scale. You have to know the real world scale of the thing you're looking at. So you could image track, and you know the physical dimensions of the image that you're tracking, and that gives you a calibration to real world scale. But like, think about it. If I show you a photo of a room,
and it's just like all checkerboard.
well, no. I was gonna say if I'm showing you a photo of a corner of a room, you can easily say, "Yep, that's two walls and a floor." But can you really say how far away you are from that corner without some sort of other reference point? You know what I mean? Like that's the
Right.
fundamental challenge. So,
But okay, no, hold on. The way that photogrammetry works is that as I move my camera, I know what the lens is on the camera, and so I know based on the camera geometry how far away that wall is.
well,
So why don't they do that?
so what you're talking about has more access to the hardware than what they're afforded. So eighth wall is
By Apple.
no,
or
like
whoever,
eighth
right?
wall is purely software running in the browser. So they can only look at the accelerometers in the camera feed, and they don't.
So they can't. They can't know.
I suppose so. So the advantages that like ARKit and ARCore have is they have full access to the hardware, including the characteristics of the camera that they're looking through.
Right. Well, that's the important part.
I think
is like what's the geometry of the
but
camera?
I do wonder why. I don't. Hopefully, Josh is still in here and he can correct me. Like, I mean, I do wonder why eighth wall doesn't say, "Oh, this is running." I don't know why they don't characterize all the cameras. They what they can know is exactly what device they're running on, and they could estimate. Like the
Well, if they know what device they're running on, they know what the
that's what
camera
I'm saying.
is. I mean,
That's what I'm
they
saying.
could make a freaking spreadsheet.
I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but
Because
maybe one
that's
of
the
Josh's
thing
point is they prioritize speed. So maybe they could do this, but one of their, if you think about their primary use cases, it's a lot of very quick marketing activations where they care less about accuracy of location and scale and more about speed of entry into the experience. And that's why well,
yeah, but
but think about it.
If your tennis shoe,
But think about it.
you're
If you're running an ARKit app or or an ARCore app, especially, think about how much you have to move the phone around before it localizes. Compared to if you launch something on eighth wall, I think a lot of times on the first frame of video,
it's kind of instant.
yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, since I've been doing both ARCore and ARKit stuff, what is this Android phone you have? I have a Galaxy S10, and it takes so much longer to localize than the iPhone does. In the same exact room and the same exact environment, like I can get a plane super fast on ARKit in the iPhone. Same exact motions and everything with an Android device, a pretty nice one, is kind of a pain.
And that's because Apple has better computer vision software than
I think
Android
once
does.
again it goes down to, for this stuff to really work well, you've got to know as much as possible about the hardware you're running on. And so like think about it. Think about all the different Android devices that you've got to deal with.
This is absolutely true with photogrammetry as well. I mean, the output from the photogrammetry calculation is great if you just use automatic kind of like figure it out by algorithmically understanding what the camera geometry is, right? if you actually have the geometry, and FilmBot would be able to help me out with what the term for this is. But if you have the file that specifies what the lens geometry and what
Yes,
the
like the
sensor
intrinsics
is and all
or
that stuff,
characteristics.
right? The camera intrinsics. If you have that, then your photogrammetry run is going to be a lot better. So again, I agree with you that having the experience pop up quicker is better. But if you have the experience pop up and your shoe is like 12 feet wide, like this is the problem that I had when you guys were using Eighth Wall on Torch.
Well, but there are ways you can get around it. Like it just like there are user experience things you can do, and like there are things you can do to like. But with the Torch approach, we were basically just mapping what we had done, which was always used like a full, real world scale localization. We're trying to map it as smoothly as possible to the WebAR output, and what we would have done if that would have proved wildly popular and we wanted to continue to improve it, we would have offered some user experience to let people set the camera height or like somehow calibrate the scale, because for us, scale is important.
Now, what if you were to just automatically get the plane? You don't care what the scale is, and then you look at the camera frustum, and then you go in 20% from the edges of the frustum, and you say that's what my scale is, and you just basically build the thing like whatever, whether it's a city or it's an apple, it basically gets scaled to 20% of the camera frustum. So then you know what the plane is. Wow, but you don't know the height.
Think about my corner. Think about my corner of the room example. Like you don't. The way they define scale, I think. But Josh isn't gonna be on the show because we're scared of him. That's why.
We should totally put Josh in the show. Oh my God, Josh is the only guy who's not been on the show.
I know. We need to get him on. Eighth Wall does like camera height, so like you can say. You can put in you can say this is, most people are probably going to be standing for this experience. You can estimate like a rough camera height, and that'll get you.
Well, and you can UI that too. You can say stand up.
Well, but
right.
Yes, you could say stand up and hold at chest level, and it's still not going to be accurate. That was the point. Like you're not going to be able to register content and see scale. Right. Super accurately without some sort of known, like that's why they tell you to use image tracking, because image tracking you say I'm tracking that image.
Okay, so all right, so here's my question. Apple does that in app with ARKit, and Google does it with ARCore by scanning and finding a spot. What is it that is not allowed to the web that is allowed to those apps?
Well,
what's the missing component?
That's what I was just saying. Like Eighth Wall will never have access to the details of the hardware that they need to like do that level of calibration and estimation through the browser, because there's so many security concerns with getting access to all that information through a web browser, through JavaScript. And so,
but it's just IMU and camera.
That's all they get. That's what they get. But that's not all ARKit uses. And that's not all. I mean, that's not
IMU, camera, and lens geometry. I mean, it seems to me like those three things would give you the ability to do the same thing, or maybe not. Maybe
that's all they're. No, I think ARKit and ARCore have access to more detailed information about those things. Is what I'm saying, at a minimum, plus their performance, but also, but like to your your real question is like, well, why can't this just be in the browser? It could be like, that's kind of the WebXR thing, right? WebXR would provide a standardized API that basically it punches a hole through the browser to the OS and says, track this for me, because we don't really want to run AR tracking in JavaScript. All we really care about is getting a pose of the device to JavaScript.
Right.
And so that's really all that needs to happen. And that's what there's been browsers and they're like mobile browsers, experimental things that do that. They pretend to be a native app, so they get access to all the native ARKit, AR core things, and they just package up the relevant information and pass it through a special version of the browser. But you've got to install that browser to be able to view it, and at that point, you might as well install an app.
You're installing Flash,
and so exactly. So really, you got to. What's the platform's motivation? And that's what when we talked about this in the Discord earlier this week. It's like Apple. I don't know about Google as much. They're usually more want you to be in the browser as much as possible so they can track what you're doing and show you advertisements. But
and get you to the page.
But Apple wants they believe there's a better experience to be had through apps. Plus, they want to get you in the apps. Basically, Apple makes money through the App Store, so they're going to push you through the app route. And you would think Google would continue their dominant philosophy of keep people in the browser as much as possible. So that does give hope to, it'd be a smart move on Google to kind of pick up the Mozilla WebXR torch. Ooh, did not mean to use that word. But
you use that word.
But it would be great. It'd be great if in the next couple of weeks Google was like, by the way, we're gonna double down on WebXR and we're gonna hire all those people that just got laid off from Mozilla.
Yeah.
We'll see. Google, like I said in the Discord, Google's, they start off real strong on AR and VR, and they tilt brush and blocks and all this stuff and AR core and spatial anchors. They were coming on real strong a few years ago, and maybe I don't know, maybe I'm just out of it, but they kind of seem weak sauce lately on both VR and AR. I mean, they've incorporated AR into their search results a little bit, but I don't know.
So is this going to be a device specific ecosystem where I'm in my walled garden of Apple, which by the way I love my walled garden.
Yes, you do.
But I'm in my walled garden of Apple, and I get the AR experiences that Apple provides me. If I want to go outside of that, I'm going to have a less pleasant time, or I'm in my unwalled Visigoth surrounded garden of Google, and I get that experience. Is it just going to continue to be Apple AR and Google AR and Samsung?
I mean,
AR
I think and Facebook. I mean, they're all they've all got their finger in the pie of this could be the future where people are. And yeah, I mean, I mean, historically, it's if you're gonna think about it from the Apple perspective, if you're gonna force people through the app implementation, you're gonna be yeah, but it's a superior user experience. Look at their quick look. Their quick look is incredible. It does dynamic reflections. It does super cool manipulations and all the stuff you get for free when you just load up a USDZ, and it's beautiful, and it's a very slick experience. And so they kind of bank on people going, well, but when I tried this on Android, it was kind of clunky. And then you've got the Android people saying, well, but I don't have to use a proprietary file format, and I can look at any GLB through this or GLTF through it's I think the classic platform agendas and positioning will permeate.
Yeah. Okay. I know that I'm going to get some pushback from some of our Android open source folks.
Push us back.
Which push us back. But I'm the percentage of people who want to look at a USDZ no matter where it comes from, or look at a GLB or whatever, is small. It's a bunch of dorky
Look,
developers like us.
the attraction
Right?
is that it's not that they're even going to use it; it's that it's possible.
Yeah, but who drives commerce? People who are just looking for the latest Cardi B 3D
Was that the
video
cool? Was
or
that just the
whatever.
coolest thing you could think of in the moment? Was Cardi B music?
Well, no,
video?
I was searching earlier today for Cardi B WAP and some GOP senator who was so apparently they've been like remixing his reading of her lyrics, which is awesome. But
Is it okay that you are technically a boomer, correct?
fuck off. Yes, by like 3 months, okay? I'm like by 3 months I'm a boomer, okay? And basically what that means is I was at the bottom of the bag when all of the locusts went out and ate everything, and I'm like the last tiny little locust, and I'm like, oh, can I have a little green spray? Oh shit, okay, that's yours. So no,
I'm sorry.
I'm yes, I'm a boomer, but I'm a fucked boomer. So anyway,
You're talking Cardi B.
No, I was talking about Cardi B, and maybe we should end this show.
We're at the 1 hour mark.
I don't know. I mean,
Show. It's
what the fuck I was saying. I was saying something.
Well, it's like no, it's a good conversation because like most people that are having these breathless roundtable keynote type of talks are talking about when we have contact lenses and glasses, and we know that there's going to be several years where we're still in this zone that we're in now.
Exactly. So this is my point. Okay, so I remember my point. My point was that the place where the money comes from is not from us dorks who decide which freaking file format.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
On what
does
thing.
Not matter.
It doesn't matter. Like it matters when 10 million people say yes to an app or a piece of hardware or whatever, and they make that thing popular, and they're wiring it around and stuff like that. So this and I know we're all kind of like wrestling around with what's better, but like what's the real question? Like
what's better is what people actually want to use and will pay for.
God, and that's also awful too. That's like, that's that. But yes, I agree. That is true. As a business person, I understand that is true. It also makes me sad that like what is better is not necessarily what is better.
Josh wanted to point out that since you're sitting on your lawn right now, if you need to take a break and yell people to get off of it, you're welcome to.
Oh, thank you, Josh. You're solidly below me in the almost boomer line, you fucker.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I got a dose of this. I mean, I got a big dose of it with Torch, but like it's something I think about all the time. Like, unfortunately, Apple has given people the impression that well-crafted products win. And
they don't.
No, it's awesome when they do.
It's great when they do, but
they don't.
Really
they
terrible
don't.
Products. But you know what? We knew that. Okay. When I was doing San Francisco Rush for Atari in the 90s, this crew built something called Deer Hunter. And remember Deer Hunter?
Yeah.
There was this like awful game. It was just terribly built and horribly like put together, and they put it on a CD and they put it on coolers. You got a free one when you bought a cooler at the store, and they just kicked the shit out of all of the other games. They made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars because
That's what people wanted.
it wasn't.
It
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't
And
art.
anyway.
It wasn't. It wasn't state of the art. I mean,
And it wasn't clever. It wasn't.
I've been doing a little bit of research lately, and I've dove into the world of Roblox. And if anybody has dealt with Roblox at all, I don't even have to tell you. Like Roblox is this gaming platform. Mostly little kids use it. They make money like hand over fist. They support independent creators. Anyone can make money through Roblox. The content, I would say, I don't think I've opened one game or experience on Roblox where I was like, this is a cool, good looking, well crafted game.
It's just terrible.
It's all garbage.
It's all just awful.
It's all garbage.
Right.
But they've got millions and millions of little kids mostly using it.
Right.
And so it does open up this interesting conversation, which is super related to XR right now, which is the balance between building good product, or actually even higher level, is something a good product if it doesn't have a market. And
Right.
so like you can have something well made, but if it doesn't have an audience, if it doesn't have a customer or enough
Like us.
of a customer, then
Right.
is it really a good product?
I'm sorry. No. We have customers. We have an audience, and we love our audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, actually, that's fair. We like if our goal was to be a successful streaming content entity.
Well, then we'd be responding to all those guys who are like coming to us, going, "Hey, man, we can."
I'd be. We would actually we would look at our YouTube analytics more than once a month, and and like really like figure out how to promote it. And but yeah, I mean, no, it is an interesting. It's a very realistic outlook on what you create. Like you would love to think. I mean, artists struggle with this all the time, right? The value of your time put in, and somebody doesn't look at your creation and say that I will pay X dollars for that because I know you spent a lot of emotion and time and literal physical hours building it. The way they value it is what do I get out? Like my value.
When someone comes to my house and they see your artwork on my wall, what do they think of me?
Right.
That's
right.
That's
or
why
I mean, that's not totally fair. I mean, patrons will also be like, well, I really like this person and what they do, and I'm also supporting that. But the reality is, anything that's crafted and sold, the value is not usually derived from the effort that went into creating it. It's does it solve a problem? Does it meet a need? Like it, and so you can build. And I mean that has been my lifelong struggle. Is I want to build cool things that people appreciate. That doesn't always mean successful. And
well, you and I have built things that are dumb and made money on those dumb things. And we've also built things that are just fantastic and incredible, and made money on those things, like for example, the Monterey Bay Aquarium project.
Yeah, no, I mean it's possible, but it depends on your goals, and like and your goals depend on what you want to do, but also the people you're working with that support you. So if you have investors, that will change your goals. The people you.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to let you know that I volunteered you to do some work for the Portland Japanese Gardens for free.
Oh,
so I don't
wow!
know
This is
you do that or not, but
this is
late
breaking news live.
Well, but I mean, I think it's important as a company to support efforts that are making the world better.
I think it's important as a consumer. Like I will pay for stuff. Like I mean, I think the good thing about all this stuff, and this is, I promise, XR related, in that I think we finally recognize the downside of free experiences. We now recognize the real cost. And so, like, I do think like Facebook and Google in particular and Apple, who have made a lot of money through the old ways, the attention economy and the ad model stuff.
Right.
I think they really hopefully are thinking about how do we create a culture of support, and like it's just nuts. It's just, I mean, and we've talked about this on the show before, and I've talked about this with a lot of people before, but like your calibration of what you will pay for an experience versus what you pay for other things is crazy. Like, we had, was it Eric? I think Eric in the chat made an experience and wanted us to, like, he put it on, I think Itch or something. And it was like $20 or I don't know. And like in my head, it's like, actually, here's how I think about it. Usually if back when we used to go to bars, which I have not been to a bar in since March,
5 months. Yeah.
But when I go to a pub or a bar, I will not hesitate to buy someone a drink. Like,
Right.
buy you a beer. Like it's just like this. It's this token of like it for such a small cost. It means so much to both of us, right? Like I got
Yeah.
your round, or I got your whole tab. I don't like it. You know, it just like I don't think anything of it because of what I get out of it and what the other person gets out of it, and it just is.
So just to be really specific, at the end of Rona time, Paul is the guy to hang out with at bars.
Yeah, if I have any money. But my point, but like, so when I look at like a $20 thing for somebody I barely know, like this has been my not a problem, but this is how I approach streamers on Twitch. It's like, if I saw this person and I just met them, I would totally buy them a beer. And in my world, a beer is like $7. So like, what's a $5 per month subscription? Plus they get a subscriber out of it. So like, but I know I'm in the minority, you know, it's like,
No. I think about it as coffee. I used to buy these crazy $5 quad espresso, coffees at Verve down in Santa Cruz, and I would buy one or two every day, and so that's like $5 or $10 a day that I would be spending on stupid coffee, and I think about that when I'm, when someone asks for, a $20, like bump, it's yes, it's a chunk, but like, look at what you spend your money on.
yeah.
And I feel like I have been spending, like, I don't know if I told you this, but I took Trump's $1,200 and I turned it into $20 bills, and it's by the front door of our house. And whenever someone comes up to deliver something, I give them a $20 bill.
No, I didn't know that. Well, but I have this problem too. If I send you an app and I'm like, Spencer, check out this 3D scanning app, and it was $9.99 to even download it, you'd be like, ooh,
Yeah, I mean, but however, yeah, I need to see it first.
Exactly. But like our we have a shifting scale of values and what we'll pay for. And when it comes to digital experience, that's what I'm getting back to, is like, when it comes to digital experiences, like we're kind of jacked up in the way we think about it. And to make it worse, so you just opened your Magic Leap 1 last weekend?
This weekend, yeah.
And you finally figured out the app store is called Magic Leap World. Go figure.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I just want to, if there's any Magic Leap people, the app store should be called the App Store.
It was supposed to be back when we were starting out. It was going to be called the Magic Shop, which I still thought was weird.
Whatever, something that says I'm going to buy something there.
But when you were looking through there, you were looking for all the free shit.
Yeah.
Did you come across? Did you come across?
So Shawnee?
Did you come across anything that costs money to download?
Well, I haven't even gone into the store yet.
Okay.
I just gave them my credit card,
but
apparently I can put that thing back.
But imagine you paid
and go spend some.
Imagine you paid over $2,000 for that headset, and now you're in.
Now
you're in the App Store, and it's like every app is $10, which by the way is cheap. Like the only people I've seen really figure this out is the video game console people, which is it costs you $60. I mean, now with digital downloads, sometimes there's a $20, $40.
Right.
But there's just a culture of a new game cost me $60. There's also an expectation I'm going to get at least a couple weeks worth of entertainment value out of it.
Hell yeah.
But
I'm going to get like 48, 50, 60 hours of work out of this. Right.
So I think, unfortunately, in the XR sense, we are falling into what I would pay for an app calibration of economy.
Absolutely.
Versus what I would pay for a video game. You know what I mean? But yet the time, effort, and skill required to build an XR experience is exactly what it takes to build the video game.
Exactly. and the if I go and download a Naughty Dog app, if I go get like The Last of Us and I download that game, that's like several hundred people working for years on a project that then I can play over the course of 72 hours. So like it makes sense to do that. The kind of stuff that we're working on, even though you and I have been working on this thing for a year, basically for Great Notion, it's not that. It's not that level of immersion and story and thought and so like we're not providing as AR developers the kind of experience that you're getting from a Naughty Dog. I'm just going to use those.
Well, no, I mean, your point is, and like Eric said in the chat, like Nintendo, like there's two ways to position yourself. Your premium content, and you start off charging, relatively high amounts.
A bajillion.
You can never do the opposite of that. Usually. You can never, but the other approach, and it's not wrong, it's just a different approach, is, well, we're going to be the free one because we're going to get more, we're going to build up more volume or cheap. We'll be cheap in volume, or we'll be premium in high price. And I don't know. Obviously, I'm not an MBA. I'm sure there's entire courses about this very discussion in business schools.
Right.
But I mean,
I got it. Like your current love affair with Fortnite.
You mentioned it, not me. Like I didn't bring it up this time.
How much money have you spent on Fortnite?
In the past 6 months.
Since you started using it?
Well, yeah, about 6 months.
6 months.
Probably $100, 110.
Okay, and so you spent $110, and so what have you spent that money on?
There was 2 new chapters, and so that's pretty much $30 to get the battle pass for each chapter.
So it's a game.
Yeah, it's a free to play game though, and
it's a free to play.
Most people don't do that.
You only play the old games, and all the cool kids are playing the new games, and so you get.
Most people spend money on the skins and the emotes and like the the accessories, right?
I'm still. I've said this on previous talks that we've had, but like it just blows my mind still that people, as a 3D artist, that people will buy 3D art.
I want to. This is something I want to talk to you about Not on the show. I have some
Okay.
ideas. But yeah, I mean,
No, I understand it. I understand that it happens, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
but
It's
they
just
there's
still
a
just mind blowing.
it's that's what I call it, the culture, but it's the culture established by the product, which is it doesn't cost you anything to download and play this game. If you enjoy it, you will eventually see that you can express yourself or do things. It doesn't affect the gameplay or your outcome of the game, but we will give you opportunities to enhance your experience in some way. And you
Right.
don't have to pay for it. So for Fortnite,
Right.
and for the record, Spencer brought it up, not me. Um, that is why I'm so fascinated by that game, because they have found a very interesting balance of free to play, highly cross platform, lots of people playing it, and but they don't sell any advertisements. They make money off people supporting the game by giving them money.
The purchasing things for
But yeah, but yes, you're
for
right.
their
You're right.
avatar.
Like if I had paid $60 for Fortnite, like if they had packaged it differently and said it's going to cost you $60 for this new season, but you get 100 skins and 100 emotes,
Right. Right.
like that would have probably still been profitable for them. But instead, they say here's the game for free, and by the way, you're probably going to drop
Right.
$60 on skins and emotes that cost us $15 to produce.
Right.
You know, so it
Interesting.
well, and I
Right.
mean, it all ties into it all ties in. I mean, the reason why it's XR related is XR has not established that culture yet, and right now, the companies that are really pushing the technology forward at a consumer scale are the ones that are well resourced from those old business models.
Right. Well, okay. So here's a question.
I'm just constantly
Uh,
bringing back to XR talk, guys. I just want
no,
that.
no.
I
But
want. I want you to
here's a
know.
question. Like you've got this open world in in Fortnite that is not really available to you in your augmented reality world, right? So and I'm going to do a little what if because I said I would. Um, Remember when I was talking with the guy who did Wolfire, the
Yes,
when we were
I
at
think you can bring
Magic
it
Leap,
up.
I was trying to get this guy who works with Wolfire's game. It's
The rabbit.
the
The
rabbits.
I was going
So
to bring it up.
he did this piece at Unity at Unite, and he talked about how like all of his characters are algorithmically animated, so they basically react to their IK characters. And we're going a little into like art tech geek stuff, but they're IK characters that react to the environment based on what the environment is. There's no pre-programmed animations. And I tried to get Magic Leap to get behind this concept of algorithmically produced animations because we have these environments that are generated by the CV, the computer vision of the camera, and so now you have a table, and then the next game the table is like you're in another room, so the table is taller or shorter or longer or whatever. And so the only way that we're going to be able to have kind of battle royale kind of fun like that is if we have the ability to have characters that can reliably and predictably react to the environment that we're in. I want some character to jump up on this table from that chair and jump and then bump on top of this, on top of this. It's like and we have the ability to do that right now. We can do that.
I mean, that's what
But
that's what Mars is trying to do. Unity's Mars stuff, and but like not even at a character level, that's a little more complicated. But like the example I always use is on the Magic Leap is the little oh man, I always mess up what it's called. They're the little demos with the helicopter and the dune buggy.
right, right.
Where
But now they're only animating an object onto a surface. You're not actually doing IK onto the surface.
no
Right? You're not
no
doing inverse kinematics.
not yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the character part. But like with the dune buggy, like it recognizes that there's a bump in the mesh and it's going over the mesh. So if in my floor there's a rug, and as it transitions
Right.
the rug, the buggy does a little responsive bump. On top of
A
that,
little bump, right?
the headlights are projecting onto the wall and floor. And so if you drive it,
Yes, which is that. I believe that in that direction, we can have these kind of multiplayer, more immersive kind of experiences.
what was that called?
The way it is right now with planes, I mean, I'm just talking about AR kit. I'm not talking about actual real, environmental geometry. But with AR kit, you have basically one plane, and
No, you have
and
you have more than one.
well, you have one plane, or you choose another plane, right?
I mean that's the way the current experience we're working on is. But I mean, we could capture all the planes it detects and make those. But we've got to put in like you said, back to what you're saying, we would have to make the characters responsive to those different planes and transitioning. So the easier thing to do right now is just to say, let the user pick a plane, and that becomes an infinite in all directions plane. There's nothing stopping us from. That's not an ARKit restriction. That's a user experience restriction that we put in.
Wait. So you're saying that if we wanted to, we could derive environmental geometry from the system that we're using right now,
Yeah.
and have the character go from one
Yeah.
level to the next.
Jump from the tabletop to the floor. Totally.
Oh.
But there's no budget for that.
Oh. Yeah, there.
See, this is what happens. Yeah, I mean Mars.
You should never have told me.
Mars is I shouldn't have. More work for me. Mars is taking. We've talked a little bit about it before. Mars is trying to give you that ability to describe an arbitrary environment and look for specific characteristics of an environment, and
Right.
to have the content respond dynamically to those characteristics. But
Which is what we're talking about.
yeah, but
Right.
they do it in such a complex way. I mean, I get it. Like the difference between, hey, I start this character at a table high surface, but we also detect that there's a floor below it, and they jump down from the tabletop to the floor.
And a chair in between.
Well, and so that's
Right.
that's where the complexity comes in, which is like, well, I actually would prefer them to walk over to where the chair is, jump down on the chair, and then jump over to the floor, then go over to
Right.
the shelf and climb up the wall to the shelf. Like, in lieu of natural language, segmentation and classification of stuff and saying, oh, that's a table, that's a floor, that's a chair, that's a shelf.
I don't care though.
You describe that stuff as surfaces.
Yeah, as an animated character, I don't care whether it's a chair or it's the back of a dog. It doesn't matter to me, because if it is defined in the environment, then I want to be able to jump from the table to the surface to the floor.
But I mean, this
And,
is the extent of what you're asking for.
Yeah.
There's
No, I know,
also
it's
people.
hard.
There's also like a creative director that's like, no, actually, if there's a dog in the room, I would like the character to jump on the back of the dog and ride it around the room.
Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. Right. And
So
so,
why not?
okay,
Why can't I do that?
well, you're fired. Uh, um, you know, like I talked with Jeff Shue, who I have come to absolutely love. He was kind of my nemesis for a little while at Magic Leap because he was in charge of the animation and the CG group, and I was in charge of trying to get us gamified, and so Jeff and I would go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and he wanted to have everything pre-animated, and so like he came from a VFX background, and he wanted
I mean, like
like
PDI DreamWorks back, like
yeah,
every little motion is meticulously, fretted
which
over.
and I mean, good lord, his resume is impressive. He's done some incredible work for film, but not for games. And so, I really respect the guy. But he was wanting to have everything kind of canned, and I was, more from the games industry side, where I was like, look, we're gonna have like this, you know. Relatively palatable walk cycle that was based only on inverse animation of the feet on the ground, and then I came up with this idea where it's like, well, why don't we have like when you are going to an edge, you can detect the edge is there because you have the environmental geometry. You can switch into a cinematic kind of way to get over the edge and drop to the next spot. So we can mix
Like
the
what
two. We can
what
have
Prince of Persia did, which was like the ultimate ledge animation transit. Did you remember the original Prince of Persia?
yeah.
It was like magic.
Well, I mean, like the pixely one.
Yeah, like the 2D side scroller one.
Yeah.
It was like
Right.
it was the first time I saw a character like when you got up to the ledge actually grab it and struggle a little bit and get up over it. But it's all canned.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I
Right.
mean,
And so you have portions of the animation that are controlled by looking at the environmental geometry and using IK and walking on top of the vertices that you derive from your computer vision. And then you have portions where there's a sharp enough drop to the next thing where you're like, okay, now we need to move. If he's going to like hit the controller left and he's going to go over that thing, then we're going to now transition into a beautiful, hop down onto this thing. And then once he's finished the hop and the land and everything is beautiful, then he switches back into that
right.
into the IK driven
Right.
walk cycle thing. And I think that no one's done it yet.
But in his mind,
has,
it was like, whoa, but what if he's jumping? If he's jumping down from a 3-meter high, that's a much different set of motions than if he's jumping down from 10-meter or 1-meter high.
Well, exactly, and that's why you blend the two.
But that's the thought behind it. I'm pretty sure. Like
right,
we're gonna need to make for every height. We're gonna need to make that.
Well, and that's the thing is that for every single height of jump or every single like little thing that you step over, there's another animation that you need to hold inside that character
in memory.
So it's in memory, and to hold that that ability to step 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, whatever, and that I think is of course it's like massive to hold all that animation in that one character, and then also it doesn't allow you for any kind of edge case at all. Like if there's something that
it's just not practical. It's just not practical.
So,
I mean,
anyway,
well,
I would love to figure
speaking
out how
of
to
that,
do that at some point.
I'm going to tie it all together because we talked a little bit about our Great Notion. So a big part of the Great Notion um, initial release is the ability to view these characters in the real world, and you can view them at tabletop scale, which is like a foot tall, or we cap it out now, but they can be pretty tall as a room or a house maybe. But one thing we did take the time to put in, which you were very persistent about making sure we had in and worked, was the character looks at the person. So we follow the phone or the device
Right.
around. So when they're in their idle and they're just standing there, you can actually walk around behind them and they kind of like look over their shoulder at you. And even on
Right.
the non AR stuff, we have the eyes, follow the person, and
Right.
it's
We have
you
we have
get
like a
stuff
head
that couldn't
look
be
and
animated.
yeah. Yeah, the thing we used for the head look and the body look, it's not really head look. It's the you have your main object that looks at the camera, and then you have like a fall off throughout the bone
Yeah, down the spine.
system, and so instead of just doing this, then they'll do this. They'll kind of like they'll twist, and it feels pretty good. There's so many there's so many things that I learned on this project that I know now for the next project. But like if you were going to scale a character, don't try to employ physics in Unity because
Yeah.
if you have physics and you try to scale it, well, the physics completely breaks. And so yeah, don't use physics.
Yeah, well, it's video game physics, which was, they're like, why would you ever change the scale in the middle of the game running at runtime?
Right.
Don't you just know? Didn't you just fix it? Eric asked about the NBA app on ML1. I mean, so I think when I looked at it, it felt kind of canned to me. Like, it's got the video feeds and then they show like the court view and you can see the players map the 3D versions of the players map to the video. I don't know. Like, I used to be a big NBA fan in high school and stuff. And now I watch a lot of soccer, which is why we didn't have a show a couple of weeks ago, or last week. But I don't know. I don't know if it adds anything. Like what? Like watching sports volumetrically as a spectator. Like, I don't know if it adds anything except, like in the case of soccer or football, depending on who you are and where you're from. There are times when there's a shot, and I really love when they do the instant replay and slow mo and stuff. And it would be cool if I had control over that, but I don't know if it needs to be an AR. Like it would also be cool
Yeah.
if I was watching on my TV and I could select the camera angle and scrub the timeline. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know
Or scrub the location.
that
Like
too. Like,
the company that Intel bought that we went and saw in Israel. What was the freaking name of that? But they would shoot. They basically had 4K cameras following the action constantly, and they were shooting every I think they were like shooting every 500 milliseconds or something like that. It was pretty slow, but they were shooting the action like really quickly, and then they would someone in the booth could say, okay, freeze that right there, and now and within I think like 10 seconds they could get a 3D model out of that all those cameras, and they could spin around and look at whether the guy's arm was actually up or down, and, stuff like that.
So like as a viewer, as a spectator, viewing that in AR as an output, as a display, I don't know is very valuable to me. But
Yeah.
what AR does bring to that idea, that concept, is the ability to more intuitively manipulate what I'm looking at. That to me is like, so it's not that viewing sports, live action sports in AR is not inherently better than watching live action sports through video, especially like professionally produced video. But if they are capturing the data and it's a more intuitive interface for me to look at it on my tabletop and walk around it and manipulate the timeline than it would be through my horrible Apple TV remote. By the way, we got the new Apple TV. The remote is no better, but that's a whole other show. And
oh no, is it just as bad?
It's not. It's not as bad, but it's not better. If that makes sense. So like to me, it's not necessarily that AR, the display part of AR in that use case is superior or adds value. It's the manipulation, but just sitting back and watching the game live, I'm not like, man, I really wish I could watch this at any angle. Like there's in that mode, I want it to be, I want the experience to be produced for me because I'm concentrating on the action. I don't want to self-produce what I'm looking at.
Right.
That said, since Spencer brought up Fortnite and he's a huge Fortnite fan, the when you
I have never played Fortnite.
When you play on PC, they save the replay of your like. So what's interesting about that is if you get killed or eliminated, they don't like to say killed. If you get eliminated, and you're like, how the heck did I get hit by that person, and what were they even doing in that moment? They have a really good replay system where you can completely scrub through and you can observe anyone in the map. You can go back through your entire game and observe anyone in the map and go frame by frame, slow-mo, high speed, whatever.
That's cool.
And you can change the camera angle. You can see their stats while.
Well, you can learn. You're like, oh shit. There's the camper.
Yeah, like how did I miss them? Yeah. Where were they? You know, but that's not an AR. You know, it just gives you control. So to me, it's like that. So the whole XR thing.
Well, it's not an AR because that environment is not an AR.
No, but
that's.
But I'm also at a. You're also at a PC. They also don't enable this replay system, by the way, on a mobile. So I don't know about console, but on PC you've got a keyboard, mouse, and monitor. It's super efficient. You can jump. You have all these commands you can do and things you can do. So like. So maybe that is the interesting space for AR or VR, let's just say XR, in the space between like broadcast video live action and like it maybe is this in between step where you have some more granular control over the content you're accessing. And it's more intuitive because you have these like either bare hand input or 6DoF input, and you can walk around things. Maybe, I don't know. You know.
Yeah, I think that comparing Fortnite to the inputs and outputs from AR is maybe not where we should go. I think that where we should go is looking at a what's the Niantic game that I constantly forget the name of that would be for Harry before Ingress. Looking at Ingress as like Ingress 2 or Ingress new or whatever, as I can see people in my neighborhood, and here we are in this space where I'm like, oh, what if? But see people in my neighborhood who are working to get rid of my generator, are doing things. I can then go out of my house and see them on the street. Like this
or
is,
to take have you seen the woke feed on Twitch, which is like all the BLM protests happening around the country? I think it is globally, but especially when it's in its prime in Portland. So if you go to Twitch, it's like woke TV on Twitch. They basically are pulling in all these live feeds of people broadcasting their perspective from the people are broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and this Twitch channel aggregates all of it And at any given moment, you can see multiple perspectives of either the same location or different locations. And when Portland was at the height of its like the federal building stuff, it was basically 12 camera feeds from individuals of all. And
I had friends of mine in Monterey who were telling me that they were on.
But it doesn't have the one thing that would have been enhanced by it is some sense of spatial relativity between those feeds. So like I was trying to map, I was looking at 2 or 3 feeds at the same time, and I was looking for like landmark visual things to be like, oh, this person's
right. Like where's this camera from?
And actually I was trying to see if I could see one of the camera people through one of the other camera feeds, to like line it up. And so like to take what you were saying further and to take it outside of like a entertainment context, like it would be kind of cool to be able to go to that location, like having the spatial data associated with those video feeds and be able to replay that back even like 10 years from now, like, or tomorrow and get a sense of where that stuff's happening.
At the time, you could take OpenStreetMaps and you could build those buildings up as a 3D model, and then you could take that if you know where the camera is.
That's why I said if you had the spatial data with the feed. And you don't even need that accurate for that.
Right, but then you could like paint the OSM data with the with the camera feed. Oh my God. Ooh.
That's another project for you.
Okay, so we're kind of like we're diving into a much longer Paul and
I just think if we've come out of it with Spencer has 2 or 3 side projects to work on, I think it's been a successful show.
I have ideas. I have thoughts.
Yes, we managed to do 1 hour and 45 minutes today without a guest.
Yes.
I don't know if that's an accomplishment.
Well done,
I don't know
Paul.
if that's well done. Thank you so much for everybody that sticks around for so long. I was telling Spencer, I tried watching this roundtable thing today that went 1 hour and a half, and about 45 minutes into it, I was like, oh, how much longer is this thing? So I can't imagine people listen to us for this long.
Well,
but if you do, thank you so much. That's and I have had people tell me personally, like, hey, I'm going through the back catalog of episodes. By the way, if you wanted to do that, all you have to do is go to watch.xrtalk.net and you could see a whole playlist of all past episodes and actually do something productive with your day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's thank you so much. I mean, like, this is how we started the show back in January, was just so people like to eavesdrop on Spencer being mean to me and us occasionally talking about XR stuff. And we decided to put that on the internet. So it's worked out great. And I've been...
We're going to call this gaslighting XR.
I don't know what you're talking about. But I am working on some guests. I had a couple of guests. I tried to get a couple of guests. It's not a huge priority. But I do try to... I am always asking and talking to people. If you all have some people that you think would be good, we're always open to suggestions. We prefer it's people that actually work hands-on in the space. And, you can just look at some of our past episodes to see the types of people we like to chit-chat with.
Can we please have Josh on?
That's just your call, man. I've been trying to get Josh on since the beginning, and Spencer's vetoed it every time. So,
well, he has no soul.
Well, that's just gingerists to say.
Jerry Ellsworth too. We want to get her on.
I can say with a high degree of confidence that Jerry will be on here eventually. The timing has not worked out, but she is very aware of the show, and we have been trying to coordinate something, but she's had some stuff going on. That good stuff.
She's building
she's got some good stuff going on.
We get that. Yeah.
We'll have her on. Yeah, I'm trying to. I've been trying to reach out to more underrepresented people in our space. We've had a run of folks, and so any suggestions, feel free to send them our way. DM on Discord is good, so you can get our Discord, chat.xrtalk.net. Twitter is good. We're just XR Talk on Twitter. I don't know why I have to keep saying this stuff. It's always up here on the screen to my upper right, just past Spencer. If you just look past Spencer up there. It's up there. Yeah. So thanks so much. Yeah. Hopefully you heard some interesting stuff. We're getting a lot of votes for Josh's guest. Maybe we should also vote on if Josh should be the new co-host. Just an idea.
Oh, wait, what?
What? I was just throwing it out there.
See, there's the mean. It's coming through.
I meant to replace me. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, Peanut Gallery. Thanks for sticking for this long. Cammie, you were here the whole time. That's incredible. Thank you. We love you. And yeah, we should have some guests back. We should have some people back. So thanks so much, everybody. We will see you online. I never commit to another show, so we don't know if we'll see you next week.
This is the 24th and final episode.
24th and final.